Okay. What is up, everybody? Welcome. Sunday night. Weekend went by really fast. I can't believe how quiet. It's been like a super quiet weekend. And I was kind of soaking it in and doing a bunch of stuff in the house projects or whatever, and spending some time with baby girl, spring break. But I'm surprised how quiet it's been. I honestly wouldn't be surprised though if something breaking happens while we're covering this and it's like, oh my God, we gotta go. I wouldn't be surprised. But if not, we're going to talk about Tucker Carlson and some of the, I guess, the drama there. He says the CIA is looking into him and reading his messages because he spoke to people in Iran before the war, and that he thinks they're going to try to put false charges on him. But there's a good explanation too. One guy, I'll play later on, he had a good explanation, his theory about the whole situation. That, they just might have been looking at his phone because he had been in communications with Iran, not necessarily that they're looking into him, but kind of interesting. Audio's working too, right? That's good. Calm before the storm. That could be it too. You know how many times it's like, oh man, it's so quiet. And then boom, it's like, what? There's a 15-year-old barricaded in Cali. Thanks, Layla. She just waited for me to go live. Oh, by the way, Mel, just wanted to tell you that just as you started, you have like all those tabs and everything ready to go. By the way, I thought now's the time. I'm just teasing. Damn, 1 minute. This is crazy. Do you look for stuff as soon as I go live? Yo, like it's nothing before. In Spanish. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on this. We'll come back to that. Let's see. We'll come back to that. I can't even see. Can't even load up the video for some reason.
Prayers for the mom. I mean,
I don't know. It could be interesting. What do you guys want to do? We'll do a poll. We'll do a poll in the chat. Okay, so I'm doing the poll right now. So if people want to do the barricade now, I think what we'll do like 10 minutes of Tucker. Or if you want to do the full Tucker thing, we can do the full Tucker thing. So let me just start it out. Let me start it out with Tucker. Let's just do a little bit of, at least get started. We'll see how the poll swings.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it. And that's provable.
Laura Loomer was saying that she had reported him. She snitched on him and reported him. And she believes he's getting funds from the foreign Iran or whatever.
And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that. Nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it'll even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights.
His dad was CIA, right? He claimed he didn't even know. I don't know that I believe that shit.
Wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom are threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand, and it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be violating your privacy like this. But it happens all the time. And in fact, one of the reasons that CIA or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency. What it does in a specific case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel. And they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans. So that is an absolutely real thing. But the main reason they do it is to leak the existence of the investigation, such as it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op. And that's, of course, happened to me repeatedly, many times, including in famously 2021, when I was still at Fox News and trying to set up an interview with Vladimir Putin. And the NSA, I heard from someone there, had grabbed my text messages with an American citizen and had leaked them to news outlets. Those texts were basically my attempts to set up an interview with the foreign head of state, and they leaked them to the New York Times in order to stop the interview, which they successfully did, by the way. And they admitted that they were spying on me. This is not a fantasy. It actually happened. They did it again 2 years later. My second attempt to get a Putin interview, I managed to get it anyway, and they've done it since. And so when you get a call from a reporter who knows the contents of your texts, it's pretty clear something's going on. None of this, in my judgment, as of right now, is a huge threat to me. So I'm not making this video to complain about it or whine or ask you to send me money because I'm under attack. I'm saying it because it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are. And you should know that a lot of what happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not, including what I'm describing now. But it has an effect. And the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent,
I'm sure you know all of them,
hardworking Americans who work in the intel agencies are Americans, just like there are decent, hardworking Americans who work at the DMV. But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have, granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws, to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now. So you should just know that going forward. Thanks.
So that was Tucker Carlson, and that started kind of a wave of kind of memes and people talking about that he's a traitor. And I'm just going to play a few seconds of this.
Well, many are excited for the Oscars tomorrow. Some people think liberal politics are influencing this take.
Let's all go to the movies. Huh? Really? Yes. Why don't we grab some popcorn and watch American culture collapse? What are we doing? What's going on?
All right, coming in hot. Well, how do you feel about...
I think on Saturday Night Live, they're not really funny, though. Like, they try. A few seconds of it was kind of funny, but it's just like, I don't know, man.
So the United States government and the CIA are launching a criminal referral case against me after reading my text messages and finding that I've been talking to people from Iran, which is
Thank you for the super chat.
job. actually. I'm an American. I thought I was supposed to talk to people. I've been doing that my entire life, actually.
This guy's funny. Actually.
And they're doing it using the foreign agent power. What's it? I don't even know what it is. FARA, never heard of it till recently, actually. And I'm not a foreign agent. I've never taken a dime from anybody. That's just a fact, by the way. It's easily provable. Don't need their money. Don't want it, obviously. I have no secrets to divulge. So why are they doing it? Well, the reason is... Oh, I love this guy. Hi, Hamini.
Yo.
Yeah, not a good time at the moment. I'm actually just recording a podcast, which I'm going to send you, and you're going to broadcast later to your people, right? Oh, yeah, the White House. Yeah, I'll update you on everything later. But can we just... Don't send any text message at all. Like, at all at the moment, okay?
By the way, it looks like the barricade's already over. The kid came out. That's what they're saying. Kid came out.
So what he said, no, they're not gonna leave him. They didn't leave, so there were still officers here, and they were still in communication with him through the phone, and they got a teen unit negotiating team here to talk to him. Did he come out? Yeah, he came out.
Okay, he came out. Yeah, it's already over. So, all right, cool. We're good.
And so why are they doing it, and why am I telling you all of this? Is because I'm afraid of the investigation against me? No. Is it because... I like this guy even more than the last, actually. Hey, Amir Tamim. Yeah, I saw. I'm going to update you on everything later. By the way, how is my American house in Qatar? Yeah, could you check on that? I'd be really grateful, actually. I'll update you on everything later, too. Okay. No text messages, by the way.
All right. Let's move on from that. Oh, man, but there's so many. Like, the memes have been, like, endless. They call him Tucker Carlson, I think.
Tucker,
I can't play the
I want you to come to the White House, believe me.
And they believe this whole White House thing was a setup to have Tucker come out there, like, meet with Trump. He thinks that they're saying, like, they think Trump set him up.
Me? I mean, sure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Qatar. On that Qatar flight, man. Well, the president got a Qatar plane. He got a Qatari plane, didn't he? They gave him a plane and shit for a gift.
I'm just bluffing with Iran, you know? It's the art of the deal, baby.
Okay, yeah, President Trump is just bluffing. You guys are totally safe.
People believe that he's been, like, working with the, like, with the government over there, like, feeding information, and he's, like, kind of, like, just, I don't know, like, and some people accuse him of getting paid. Carlson. You know what? I don't trust him, though. I mean, I don't know that he's doing what they're saying he's doing. I mean, I'm not sure. It's hard to say. But I remember that time where those text messages, I don't know if it was like a lawsuit or he got subpoenaed or something. And he was saying messages, I hate Trump. I hate Trump. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. And so, but you're over here every time you're on TV. I love him. I love him. I love him. No, he's my friend. We're friends. We disagree sometimes. I mean, maybe he just sent that text and at the moment in time hated him. But to me, it just seems so fake. It's not real. Like, so why are you so around him so much? And, you guys ever seen that? The text messages that came out? I wouldn't want to be a friend with somebody like that. You don't need to. I could keep you at a distance. We don't need to be friends. In 2023, March 2023, the Dominion voting system defamation lawsuit against Fox News revealed that Tucker Carlson privately expressed strong disdain for Donald Trump, stating in text messages, I hate him passionately. Bro, if I found out and I had a supposed friend that they're texting people and telling them I hate him passionately, but then on TV and on screen and everywhere else, I love him. No, we're cool. Blah, blah, blah. You're X'd out. You are X'd out. So that's for me. That's why I don't trust his ass. If you don't like him, be honest about it. So I'll never forget that text message.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice
are nonstop.
on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power.
So I wanted to play. So listen, I watched this the other day. I don't know if you guys have seen this interview. I was cleaning. I've been on a cleaning rampage in the house, taking advantage of the quiet time online. And I was listening to this episode of Tucker, and I thought it was really interesting. I mean, the things that Tucker was saying wasn't anything crazy. You know, like he's just like, America first, anti-war, like, you know. There were some parts, or one or two parts, I thought he was a little disingenuous, which we'll get to. The whole part where it's like, because he had said something about like when Trump said we want complete and utter surrender, he had said that means people, Iranians, are going to get raped by soldiers and all kinds of stuff. He said something like that. We'll listen to it. And then he got questioned about that in this interview, and he just kind of like tiptoed around it. And no, that's not what I meant. I was just talking about back in the day, complete and unconditional surrender or whatever. That means that the women are going to get raped and stuff. But I wasn't saying that about American soldiers. I just feel like he was kind of dancing around a little bit, you know. And the other thing too, it's just like, so the interview was great, and I thought Tucker had some really great points. But then I'm like, am I seeing what Tucker really thinks? Because then I remember, was it Nick Fuentes that went on Piers Morgan? And on Piers Morgan, he's a saint. He's this rational person, somewhat rational. Yeah, I had these thoughts at some point. You know, Nick is a huge flip-flopper. I don't trust him either. Huge flip-flop. That guy goes where the wind blows. Huge flip-flopper. So I don't know if sometimes people come on this Piers Morgan thing and they're putting on a front. You know, like some type of, you know, I know millions of people are going to be watching, so let's just, you know. But so I don't plan to play the whole thing, but I'm going to play some parts. Let me see. We're going to get to advising Trump, and this is kind of relative to this stuff. Advising Trump. And let me show you real quick. There was a picture. I don't even know where it's at now. Here it is. People believe like this was all a setup. Like this was, it says Trump invited Tucker to the White House on January 17 and published this photo with him as USS Abraham Lincoln was headed to the Middle East. Tucker was clearly used to send mixed messages to the Iranians and give the military more time to build up forces in the region. I don't know. And somebody said Trump's smile is so extra. Like, was this like some type of setup, or like, oh yeah, you can come. No, let's hear what you have to say, and maybe as a test too. Let's see what this guy's telling these Iranian people. You know,
the potential for war in Iran with him. You know, did you try and persuade him that this would be a terrible idea?
Of course, that's why I went 3 times in a month, 5 weeks maybe. Yeah, that's why I went. And I've known him a long time, as you have, and always gotten along with him, still get along with him. I still like him. I'll always like him no matter what happens.
You see? I still like him, always like him, but you over here texting people talking about you fervently hate him. Like bro, it's not just I hate him. Oh, I hate them. Like, you know, I passionately, you don't just go from passionately hating somebody. Oh, no, you're cool. Yeah, no, everything's fine.
Because I like him as a guy. And I think he's trying his best. But in this case, you know, I couldn't have an effect. I tried sincerely. I wasn't getting paid for it. It's coming, of course, at some reputational cost. You know, no one wants to deal with being called a Nazi, screamed at, or threatened, or having your kids threatened, which has happened to me a lot. And no one wants to deal with that. But I just felt that this was so serious that it was worth doing whatever I could, because, my gosh, you know, people could die. The balance of power globally could change. I've never supported the idea of an American empire, but we have one, and it's in retreat, but there's a way to manage that that's not damaging or profoundly damaging to the United States, the country that I actually live in, that I was born in. And this is not the way. Wars accelerate trends in progress. They bring massive and unexpected change. Every war does this. It's the nature of war. The second people start dying, all kinds of things you never anticipated will happen. And you can't control them. You lose control of the process. I've covered wars. I've certainly watched a lot, read about a lot. I'm not an expert, but I try to apply obvious lessons through history to present day realities. And that was the first thing I said to the president and anyone else who would listen. Once this starts, the world is going to find out exactly how strong we are, which is not something you necessarily.
Which I thought this point was actually a pretty good point. I do feel like some of these people are hoping for failure so they could be like, I told you so, like him and Candace Owens. I do feel like that. You know how people just hope for your demise and stuff? And like you're winning and winning and winning, and they're just hoping, and they're just sitting there waiting for that. You ever had a friend like that too? There's not really a friend. They're just waiting. I'm not saying him disagreeing with Trump, because I'm not happy about the war either. I'm not saying him makes him like a fake person. All the other stuff is what I'm saying.
Necessarily want to reveal. An implied threat is much more effective. In other words, like, you know, if we're squaring off for a fight and you look huge, you've been lifting a lot, I'm afraid of you, but I don't really know what you're capable of until I hit you or you hit me. And then we find out, and maybe it turns out you have no heart, you know, and you lose. I mean, war is kind of the great reveal. And you don't necessarily want to go there, especially if you've ruled the world without question for 80 years and your capabilities have never really been tested. You haven't fought a big country really since 1953 when the Chinese entered the Korean War. So like, you don't really know what you're capable of, and you don't really want to find out. Let's not find out. How's that? But I lost. So as you can see.
Did you, when you were talking to him, Tucker, did you get a sense that he was on the fence about it, that he was potentially persuadable, or did you feel that he was minded to do it, notwithstanding what you were trying to persuade him to the otherwise?
Well, this was over the course of a month, and that included, so I went there three times, but I, you know, also talked by phone a bunch, and with him about this. And a lot of other people did too. You know, to advocate for it. You know, a lot of people. I don't think many people within the White House were advocating for it. Is my sense. Not that I would really know. I don't work there, but my sense is there weren't a lot of cabinet secretaries saying, "Oh gosh, we got to have a war with Iran." But there were a number of people from the outside who were all sort of visible. You kind of know who they are: donors and advocates for Israel who were advocating for it. And my sense is his view started to change, you know. Well, obviously it did because he did it, but at no point did I detect an enthusiasm for it. He didn't seem eager to do it. He didn't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. That sounds fair. I don't have a problem with that. I don't want anyone to have nuclear weapons. I want Israel to have nuclear weapons. I don't want France to have nuclear weapons. I mean, you know, that's a pretty reasonable position. But the idea that you would go into some kind of conflict that could very easily become a ground invasion, or who knows what it becomes, you know, a nuclear exchange, who knows? He was not eager to do that from what I could tell. And again, you know, people tailor their positions to the audience, but I talked to him a lot. And I never one time got the feeling he can't wait to do it. But I also felt, turned out to be correct, that there was an enormous amount of pressure on him, like enormous. I mean, clearly there was an enormous amount of pressure. Where exactly did it come from? It wasn't just from Mark Thiessen of the Washington Post, who was calling a lot to demand more killing. Mark has a lifelong track record of doing that. But no one cares what Mark Thiessen thinks. I felt strongly, and I feel strongly now, that there were forces that were forcing him in this direction. And in fact, the Secretary of State, as you said in your intro, admitted as much out loud and said, Netanyahu said, we're going to go first, and you can either, you know, watch your assets get destroyed and your people get killed in the Middle East, or you can join.
That's one of the theories that I've heard a lot, that like supposedly Netanyahu had told them, we're going to go and attack with you, without you, and that they, you know, U.S. has bases out there. The other one, which I don't know if it's true at all, but suppose that they were threatening to like nuke or something, and so the U.S. joined the fight. You know, I don't know.
Yes. The question though is,
you see, I thought that was really, I think, a fascinating moment when Marco Rubio said that, because it prompted Antony Blinken, the former Secretary of State, who'd obviously done his job, to then reveal that Netanyahu had tried to pressurize both Biden and Obama into doing the same thing, using the same pretext of, we're going to go and do this anyway, are you with us or not? And of course, in both those eventualities, the answer was no, and Israel didn't attack. I mean, do you think, knowing that now, knowing that from Blinken, do you think Trump may have got played here by Netanyahu?
Well, I already knew that the Israelis had done that in the previous administration. I knew they did it in 1973 with the Nixon administration, where they threatened to use nuclear weapons against the Arabs and forced Henry Kissinger to okay arms sales to Israel. So there's a long pattern of this. And I think anyone who knows anything about the Israelis knows that they're capable of this. They're capable of great violence. They take their threats very seriously, maybe too seriously, to the point where they become self-fulfilling. I mean, you could argue about it, but they don't mess around. And of course, this had already happened in this administration. In June, our bombing, the 12-day war in Iran began when the Prime Minister of Israel announced to the administration, I'm doing this week. And my question then, and I raised it, was, how about no? How about no? You're a client state. You've got 9 million people. You're the size of New Jersey. You don't make operational decisions. And you certainly don't tell the world's dominant superpower what we're doing next. Like, why would you? That's like getting a lecture from your children. No. And that was my position, because that seems consistent with the laws of nature. The weaker partner doesn't get to dictate terms. Like, what world are we living in? And whatever, I'm not in charge. But that was my position. I think that'd be the position of most rational people. But Israel was in charge of that war. They started it, and they were in charge of this war. They started it. So this is a difficult thing for the people who advocated for the war to deal with, because their whole purpose is not to help the United States. It's to, and not even to help Israel. It's to help the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. If you're loyal to Israel, if you love the state of Israel, what do you think about what's happening in Tel Aviv and Haifa right now? They just had, apparently, an Iranian rocket land right next to the Church of the Nativity. Luckily, it didn't do much damage. But this isn't helping Israel. There's no real end game for Israel here that's going to result in its long-term stability and peace. Of course not. This is a disaster for Israel.
And Trump, too, they're saying says about 7 countries to join the coalition to police Iran's Strait of Hormuz. And so far, they're saying there's been no commitments. And they're enlisting all these people to come help. The whole thing, too, I mean, Trump keeps saying that their military, everything's wiped out. But every day I still keep seeing attacks, missile launches from however they're launching it. Let me see, even this Trunks guy, let me see, what's his name? Trunks, the Fox guy, Trunks. And I can't remember his name. Let's see, maybe I'll find it here. Boom, boom. Yeah, this guy. Yingst. It's Yingst? What did I think his name was? Trunks. Drake Yingst. Okay. Yingst. He had said, he posted this video, look at this, 11 hours ago, because Trump keeps saying like they're defeated. He even made a post the other day where he was like, basically saying the war's over, like they're done. And this was posted about 11 hours ago, but you still keep hearing about these attacks.
Hey, Rich, good afternoon. Since midnight, there have been at least 10 barrages of Iranian missiles launched toward Israel. Sirens have sounded across the country, and we have some new video of one of the cluster munition impacts inside of Tel Aviv. This is an artery that runs through the city, and you can see the explosion here as that cluster munition slams into the road. At another location, one man was injured when one of these munitions slammed into and destroyed an apartment. As this is going on, the Israeli...
Look, there's hits. They're going through. There was rumors, too, that Israel's low on interceptors, but they're denying it.
Israelis are working to shoot down the incoming fire, and the Israeli military is shooting down reports that they're running out of missile interceptors. They're also going on the attack against the Iranian regime. You can see some explosions here from Friday. This wave of strikes continued into today with a new round of strikes against Western Iran going after Iranian military infrastructure. Still, though, an international focus remains on the Persian Gulf, where Iranian officials say they will continue their attacks to close this waterway.
There was even something about that they were saying that we'll let some ships cross if they use the Chinese currency, Yang or whatever it is.
Actually, not that I really care because I'm not Israeli.
But the thing with all these countries too is like, I thought this country, I'm not one of those people. There's people like up talking Iran, like, oh, they're so strong and powerful. But I don't think this is gonna be like a 1, 2, 3 easy wipe. And so, I mean, how many countries are you going to enlist and need help from to do the mission and do the job? I feel like it does make you look kind of weak. How many countries? It's not some Drake and Kendrick shit. How many countries? How many whatever? And you keep saying it's over, they're done, and then they just keep shooting. It's not as simple as that.
But I don't want to see any country harmed. And these people are in a very tough spot because now we've left the rhetoric stage and we're in the kinetic action stage where the rest of us can just assess outcomes without mediation. Like, who controls the Straits of Hormuz in 3 years? Is there an American military base in Bahrain? What happened to the Fifth Fleet? It used to be there. Where is it now? Who's controlling the energy flows out of the Middle East? These are measurable phenomenon. They're not susceptible to Ben Shapiro being like, wagging his eyebrows at you and telling you you're an anti-Semite. It doesn't matter what he says. And so it puts them in a very tough spot. How do they respond? Well, we know from the Iraq War, not a single person is ever going to admit he was wrong. Ever. One of the most liberating things I've ever done in my life was admit that I was wrong about the Iraq War. And I was ashamed of it. I remain ashamed of it. But once you say, I was wrong and I'm sorry, this tremendous weight lifts off your shoulders and you don't have to lie anymore. And that is what liberation actually is. None of these people will do that. None. They feel no compunction and they won't. So instead what they're doing is they're just going bonkers on the attack because, and this is a precept that Israel lives by, the best defense is a strong offense. So rather than like debating you on the terms or admitting that they were wrong in their forecasts and there was no popular uprising in Iran and we've lost control of the world's energy, they're going to say, Piers Morgan, you're a Nazi. Megyn Kelly, you're a Nazi. And you're just like, what? That is a kind of insulation that they're constructing around themselves to prevent, well, any kind of soul searching about how did I get it so wrong?
All right, and let's jump to so Trump did make some comments. Trump comments about Tucker Carlson and his America First approach.
What Trump said about it was quite revealing, actually, because he said Tucker's lost his way. He's not MAGA. MAGA is saving our country. MAGA is making our country great again. MAGA is America First, and Tucker is none of these things. And Tucker's really not.
Marco Rubio realizing he has to do the Tucker Carlson show. Oh, not Marco. Yeah, I love these. The Marco Rubio stuff is just hilarious. Memes. You have to do Tucker now. He might be a candidate, presidential candidate. Who's going to be the next president or candidates for the Republican Party?
Smart enough to understand that. Now, having been on the receiving end of Trump's savage rhetoric from time to time, that is pretty low base for him. But it was an interesting point about what constitutes MAGA, because, of course, there are many people with pretty short to midterm memories who can remember Trump campaigning so vociferously to his MAGA base before the last election on saying, look, we're going to be America first. We're not going to go marching into Middle Eastern countries anymore. We're not going to wage foreign wars. We're not going to interfere in other countries. And we're going to fix the economy in the United States. We're going to get the cost of living prices down. We're going to end inflation. And it seems to me that it might be that President Trump has either forgotten what he said or wants to try and reframe what MAGA really means. Because if you're a MAGA voter, you must be slightly mystified. You may not want to admit it publicly because you think it betrays Trump, but you must be mystified that within a year of winning back the White House, the guy that campaigned on not going into the Middle East again, not waging foreign wars, focusing on America first and the US economy, has now launched the biggest war in the Middle East in my lifetime that America has won.
And so, Trump stated Tucker has lost his way. I knew that a long time ago, and he's not MAGA. MAGA is saving our country. MAGA is making our country great again. MAGA is America first, and Tucker's none of those things. So he did make those comments. Even though he still invited him to the White House, they still, I guess, talk all the time.
Waged, and that has inevitably sparked the biggest economic meltdown we've seen as a consequence of a war, not least because, as you said, about the Strait of Hormuz and the damage that is inflicting, and the simultaneous attacks on the Gulf states and all the fallout from that. So it seems to me that he may want to come after you for not really understanding MAGA, but I'm not sure that many in the MAGA movement, if they're really honest, can be comfortable with what is happening here.
I mean, look, I've never claimed to be a genius because I'm not a genius. And so it's entirely possible there are motives I don't understand. I certainly tried to understand in many conversations with him, but maybe I didn't. I'll keep that possibility open. And as for what MAGA is, it's a slippery definition. I mean, I think George Orwell wrote a bunch of books about this, including Animal Farm. Definitions change. I remember someone pointing to a picture of 100% black people once and telling me that's diversity. Or thinking, looks like uniformity, actually. Like, what do these words mean? I don't know. I do know what America First means because it's a much more precise description. And it means you put America first in every decision that you make as an American leader. And this, by that definition, falls far short. In fact, it is by definition not America First.
Unless there's something we don't know. But yeah, I mean, I remember that was the thing. No more wars, no more new wars.
Because the administration has already said we followed the lead of a foreign country. In doing this, we put their interest first. And I think most people, no matter how they feel about Israel, whether they love it or hate it, or it doesn't matter. It's nothing to do with this specific country. It has to do with any country that might be leading us around, particularly to our destruction, and putting its interests before ours. Our leaders can never agree to that, period, because it is the opposite of America First. So, whatever Trump said about me, I didn't take it personally. I suspect he doesn't really mean it. Because I've always gotten along with him for 30 years.
Always gotten along with him, even though you passionately hate him.
In fact, I always will. But on this one specific question, America First, we can say this was not America First. This was at least America Second. I do think it's obvious that Israel understood, because they're not stupid, that the effect of this war would be to get the United States out of the Middle East. And unfortunately, I think that will be the effect. And they want that because why would you want a dominant power in your region telling you what to do and hemming you in, as the U.S. has to Israel? No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. We may not mean it, but we still hassle them used to hassle them over, say, the West Bank settlements. They want the U.S. out, and they're moving to India. Okay, that's their calculation. But how is that good for me as an American? It's not. So America First. Yeah, this was not America First, whatever it was.
Well, what is very interesting is that I can't remember a war that once it started where American forces have been committed by an American president where there hasn't been majority support for that war in the United States in the polling. This is the first time where there isn't. There's a majority of a lack of support for it. Americans are they're not buying this war. They don't want it. They don't really understand it. And they're very concerned about the consequences.
The only people who support this war are those born between 1946 and 1964 who watch a lot of Fox News. That's it. I'm not attacking them. By the way, they're Americans.
Hey,
they're my
the old network.
As Americans. I love a lot of them. But their perspective on the U.S. and the world is very different from everyone.
Let me pause there for a second. Trump, too, he was asked, this was tonight, I'll just show this real quick. The reporter asked, can you explain why you're sending 5,000 Marines and sailors to the Middle East? Supposedly they're saying it's like, I guess, a limited operation, not full on the ground, but he replied to this reporter like this. You're a very obnoxious person. Snapped on him. There was another thing too I wanted to show. I was trying to understand. I don't like the Mark Levin guy. I don't know much about this dude. I know he's in politics. He's all over the place. He's, what is he? A big Israel supporter, right? Like he's big on Israel. And Megyn Kelly today said he has a micro penis. That's all you need to know. No, I'm just kidding. That's not all. But she did say that apparently. There was all this beef going on. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. Just sidestep for a second. Mark Levin. Let's see here. Born in Pennsylvania, prominent American conservative commentator, lawyer, author, and media personality. Blah, blah, blah. Served in the Reagan administration. Rose to fame in media as a frequent guest on shows like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity. He was nicknamed the Great One from Hannity. Okay. Yeah, Levin is a vocal supporter of Israel and has been described as a Zionist. And so let me show you this post because there was, oh man. Does this even have it? Okay. The controversy, and I'm going to share this post here. Where's the link? The link right here. This all kind of, I guess, somewhat ties maybe and coincides. It stems from ongoing divisions within the conservative and MAGA movements, particularly over U.S. foreign policy. There's like a civil war, people say, and amid the U.S.-Israel military strikes in Iran early 2026, Levin has been an advocate for aggressive action against Iran, reportedly lobbying Trump to abandon diplomacy and support Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, warning that Iran was close to developing nuclear weapons. This has drawn sharp criticism from isolationist and anti-interventionist factions on the right, who accuse Levin of being a neocon warmonger. Critics like Tucker Carlson, who Levin derisively calls Carlson due to his perceived pro-Qatar ties, and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, labeled Traitor Green, oh my God, have been highlighted in media as voices opposing the Iran conflict. Levin has fired back, calling these critics mentally unhinged, anti-American frauds, neo-fascists, anti-Semites, and betrayers using the Iranian propaganda to undermine Trump and the U.S. troops. The feud escalated with personal attacks. Levin had clashed with Megyn Kelly, calling her unhinged and lewd, and some accused Levin of manhandling Trump in the White House, implying undue influence. Where was Megyn Kelly today? Let me show that. Some people were upset about the micro penis. Megyn Kelly. I don't know why. How do we get on the micro penis? I don't know why why are we there? What happened? Yeah, Megyn Kelly hits rival podcaster. I wonder if that's it. Is there audio of that? Because maybe I could use a new sound clip. Oh, she just typed it out, yeah. Hits rival pundit Mark where it hurts. Sorry you have a micro penis. Well, how would you know, Megan? So they're beefing back and forth. Kelly has been a critic of the U.S. and Israeli war in Iran and refused pressure to denounce like-minded conservative pal Carlson and Owens. I think she should just denounce Owens for the crazy shit that she's doing with Erica. But Levin has meanwhile been a staunch supporter of Israel and raged against Carlson and Owens. And so whatever. They've been going back and forth. Civil war. And so Trump apparently made this post. I was like, is this real? Is this for real? Trump made this post. And it says, Mark Levin, a true great American patriot, is somewhat under siege by other people with far less intellect, capability, and love for our country. Mark is tough, strong, and brilliant, hence the nickname The Great One, which we just talked about, conceived by our MAGA friend, the wonderful Sean Hannity. After years of dealing with Mark in legal, media, and other capacities, Mark would often do Sean's show speaking as a lawyer, and Sean realized then, as did others, that he was special. Mark Levin was not looking to do television, radio, or anything else, but he was drafted by very smart people who understood there are few like him. He is a true conservative and intellect far smarter than those who criticize him, but above all, he is a man of great wisdom and common sense who truly loves our country. When you hear others unfairly attack Mark, remember that they are jealous and angry human beings whose sway is much less than the public understands. And will, now that they know where I stand, rapidly diminish. Will he snap his fingers? Other than for his wonderful wife and family, Mark only cares and wants one thing: greatness and success for America. Those that speak ill of Mark will quickly fall by the wayside. as do the people whose ideas, policies, and footings are not sound. They are not MAGA. I am MAGA. And MAGA includes not allowing Iran, a sick, demented, and violent terrorist regime, to have nuclear weapon. I thought they got rid of that. Didn't they blow that shit up a couple months ago? To have a nuclear weapon to blow up the United States of America, the Middle East, and ultimately the rest of the world. MAGA is about stopping them cold. And that is exactly what we're doing. God bless our great military, which I have rebuilt since the beginning of my first term, to achieve everlasting peace through strength. Make America great again. And I was like, yo, they really post that? I was like, oh shit. Like, can we get a fact check on that? I guess he did. Everybody's talking about it. Yeah.
And he loves Israel too.
Oh, this was an old clip, but I mean, I don't know when this was.
And these people do like Israel. Hold on. And he loves Israel too. It's true. 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds. 6 years ago, I was up here, and I said, "This is our first Jewish president."
First Jewish president.
It's true. Now he's the first Jewish president to serve 2 not consecutive presidencies. We thank you for everything.
That's right. Bad things happened on the second one. Namely, the election was rigged.
Oh.
And we found out, and you see that happening. But
and you are the greatest president.
Thank you very much.
And God bless you.
Okay, so Trump came in standing up for Mark, telling the haters to back off in defense of Mark. Okay. He posted that tonight. All right, back to the shenanigans. It's all shenanigans, really.
Everyone else is very, very different. And so they're not the ones who got Donald
He said, I am Trump.
Trump
I mean,
elected.
MAGA, not Trump. Yeah.
Actually, the people who got Donald Trump elected are the people who hadn't voted for Republicans before or even voted at all.
True. That
before.
is true, though. That's true.
And
That's
they're
true.
like Joe Rogan listeners, or people who use nicotine pouches. They're Hispanic voters. They're young black men. They're non-traditional Republican voters who voted for Trump because he promised not to keep doing the same thing. And one of the things he promised not to do again was to hand operational authority over to Benjamin Netanyahu, as other presidents have. We don't want any more of that. Why would we? And we're not going to make Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro, who have almost no organic support in the media world, like no one really watches them. We're not going to hand control of our foreign policy over to people like that who don't know anything and who don't have America's interests at heart or even in mind. So breaking faith with those people, those voters, the ones who actually got Trump elected and whose coalition promised a new day in American politics, that's a big deal. It's a betrayal on the level that I don't think people who aren't in those groups can understand. Like, this is heartbreaking. And by the way, a lot of those people really like Trump. They like his style. They think he's hilarious. He's brave.
Okay. Now, there was another part that I thought was so interesting. They do go to talk about Ben Shapiro and somebody else, but this is what I want. I want to play this part too. Tucker Carlson on unconditional surrender. Tucker Carlson. Mustard Mama, thank you so much for the memberships. Appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me late at night. Man, it's just too quiet this weekend. I was like, I got to jump on for a little bit. We got to just hang out, whatever. Tucker Carlson on unconditional surrender.
Rape your wife and daughter.
Yeah, I want to play this first before I give play the clip of him explaining himself after.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want. And everyone knows that. And that has been, if there's one consistent lesson of history, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter. Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic instinct there is. And so to avoid that, people will do anything. And so that's why it requires that level of force to get a population subdued to the point of unconditional surrender. That's why. And so in this case, of course, we don't have the ground force necessary. I don't think Americans would voluntarily participate in it. I just don't think we can do that. It would require weapons of mass destruction. It would require presumably nuclear weapons.
I don't know. I wonder if that was their original clip. But people took this as he was saying that American soldiers would be raping Iranian people over there.
There was an interesting response to something you said about when Trump said he wouldn't accept anything less than unconditional surrender from Iran. You discussed that and what unconditional surrender means. Let's take a listen to what you said.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want. And everyone knows that. And that has been, if there's one consistent lesson of history, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter. Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic instinct there is. And so to avoid that, people will do anything.
No, as you know, a lot of people jumped on that and who don't like you and said that what...
That's how I took it too. Honestly, that's how I took it too. And a lot of people online, I mean, I don't know. Is that how you guys take that? Like when he said that statement, isn't it kind of like implying that our soldiers were going to be going over there and raping, I guess? And then eventually they'll nuke? Or you didn't take it like that? I mean, I understand, like after watching this, I guess like historically that did happen, you know, but.
You were inferring was that the US military in this eventuality would be capable of raping women.
And that's how I took it. That is how I took it.
If Trump went through with his aim of achieving unconditional surrender. I mean, do you want to clarify what you said? Do you want to respond to what those people have been saying?
Sure. Let me just say, I almost never infer anything because I'm not a woman. I just say what I think. I don't play chess. I play checkers. Pretty straightforward person. Ask my wife. And so if I thought that U.S. troops would rape Iranians, which I don't think, I would just say so. I don't think that. And when the U.S. military admitted that it bombed the girls' school attached to the Iranian naval base at the beginning of the conflict, my immediate assumption was that was a mistake, and I still believe that. Now, where did the targeting come from? You know, that's a real question, and we should find out. But no, of course, I give American troops the benefit of the doubt always, as I give Americans the benefit of the doubt always, unlike Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, who are telling their viewers that Americans are going to rise up in a pogrom or a Holocaust. I don't think Americans are like that. I don't think they're capable of that. And so I have very high opinion of Americans, period. And so I was not saying that. What I'm saying is a very obvious thing that any wise person understands, which is unconditional surrender is a lot to ask. And it's a lot to ask of anybody because it throws open any possibility. And the fact is, again, this is not something historically illiterate people would know, unconditional surrenders historically have always been followed by mass killing and rape and looting because there's no defense. You have said, what I have is now yours. That's what an unconditional surrender is. And so it's a very, very high bar to set for anybody, and it takes off the table any real possibility of diplomacy. And diplomacy is, by the way, one of our great powers. The United States has had the ability to negotiate out of situations that would hurt us and others without violence. That's a power. That's why we have a State Department and a Secretary of State. My father worked there. I know how this works. And it doesn't always work well, of course, but when you don't have it at all you have left are weapons. And our weapons are proving inadequate. So then you have to escalate to what? Weapons of mass destruction. Do you really want to go there? I don't think you do. No normal person wants to go there. So anyway, that's the only point I was making. An unconditional surrender, would you unconditionally surrender your home and your family to anyone? Of course you wouldn't. Because you're a man with self-respect who's head of household. You would die before you allowed your wife and children to fall into the hands of someone who meant them harm. Of course, that's the standard, Dumbo. It's not about attacking American troops. It's about assessing whether that kind of threat is going to get you what you want, which is advantage to your country with as few dead as possible. I don't even know what world we're living in where the people in charge are this stupid that you would have to explain something so obvious and that children on the sidelines, like the kid with the eyebrows, would be like barking, "You hate America troops." No. All I care about is the United States, in contrast to you. And so it's almost like insulting to have to play along with these lies, but, I guess you have to.
There was something else that Ted Cruz said in his little rant about you. He said, Tucker says there's no one on planet Earth he hates more than Christian Zionists. And he blamed in particular me and Mike Huckabee as objects of his ire. And I wear that as a badge of honor. Is that true? Are these the two people you hate most on planet Earth? And is it because they're Christian Zionists?
I wouldn't say, well, first of all, I think Christian Zionist would be an upgrade for Ted Cruz, who couldn't name the book of the Bible he said his theology came from. So I don't think Christianity, even in its perverted Zionist form.
Okay. There was a part, too, where he, Piers Morgan called Ted Cruz a pussy ass bitch or something like that. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Here's the clip because I don't know where the timestamp is at. Is this it here? I don't even know where it's at. Who cares? All right, move on from that part. CIA. The CIA knew Tucker was speaking to the Iranian regime. That means when Trump invited Tucker to the Oval Office multiple times in the lead up to the Iran strike, he knew full well that Tucker was back channeling information to the Iranians. Essentially, Trump seems to have used Tucker as an unwitting counter intel asset to convince Khamenei that he was bluffing, that nothing would happen. Trump was basically able to kill Khamenei thanks to Tucker's arrogance. So some people would think, I don't think they're gonna, unless there's something that we don't know, I don't think they're actually gonna arrest him or charge him. There's been no charges so far. Unless something comes out we didn't know that he was doing.
The Iranian people don't have open internet access, but you do.
Because I'm the voice of Iranians, and I have to defend their right. So this is why I have.
Yo, what the hell? Takali Carly Minsion.
Access to internet to just.
The Iranian.
Oh my God. Tucker. Remember that time Tucker Carlson didn't even know what ally meant? Well, this is just playing stupid.
Supporting Israel because it's an ally.
I don't even know what those words mean. I'm just saying principle.
They're an ally, right? I mean, they both.
I don't know what that means to be an ally. I mean, we have no.
It means that when Israel wants to attack in Gaza and attack Hamas, America will help.
Have certainly been times where we have benefited from our alliance with Israel. It's an alliance, just like we have an alliance with.
They are allies then.
I don't know what ally means.
It's short for alliance.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
Yes.
It's so funny. I never knew that.
He never knew that? Oh, wow. I thought he was being BSing. I think he's BSing. I don't believe that shit. I don't believe that. Megyn Kelly. Oh, yeah. I think that was all on Tucker. I have a couple of random stuff. Oh, no. There was this other. Laura Loomer, before we move on from this. She's saying, if I was a foreign agent doing something I shouldn't be doing, I too would come up with an elaborate story about how the CIA was out to get me. Tucker sounds like someone who was about to be exposed for doing something they know they shouldn't be doing. For months, I've been calling for Tucker Carlson to be investigated for alleged FARA violations. So she's saying she snitched. She's been reporting his ass in. We have FARA laws in our country. Tucker isn't above the law. She hopes he gets arrested. Oh, she deleted this one, I guess. Did you guys see the whole thing in India with Laura? Laura, she's been talking about Indians for a long time, like talking shit. And she got invited to like this, I don't know, this conference thing or whatever. And I guess right before she went on, she went and deleted a bunch of stuff, a bunch of Indian posts. And they went in on her ass at this event. I don't know why she would even go over there. I guess for publicity, maybe.
And Islamophobic. And I'm sorry to say that we have Atiti Devo Bhava in this country where we welcome all, but your comments smack of anti-Indianism, worse still, Islamophobia, and even worse, racism, which has no place, ma'am, in today's world. So get real, ma'am. Sorry to say that, but that comments are unacceptable to me as an Indian and as a world citizen.
Oh, shit. She went to India today, man. They were going in on her ass. She even apologized. At one point, she even apologized. Look, you should make it out of there alive. She apologized to. She's actually going to be spending time there traveling and getting to know the place.
Decrease in some of those harsh comments online.
Laura, can we address the elephant in the room? First up, would you want some water or are you carrying your own?
You want some water before I grill your ass?
Oh, I think I'm fine. Yeah.
You're good? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So there have been certain tweets, Laura, which, because you're in India right now, and you know what you've done, and let me say this, it's a feat. Because by the virtue of those tweets, you've done the impossible. You've got the left in India and the right in India come together and being uncomfortable with those tweets. So in that way, you know, there's a lot to thank you because that rarely ever happens in India. But they've come together in the criticism.
I didn't even know there was a right and left in India.
Laura, of some of your tweets earlier. You've deleted most of them.
Deleted them.
What you perceive is your image of India and Indians. Do you regret it? Because you deleted them, so that's why I ask you.
Well, Twitter deleted some of them. I had no choice but to delete some of them because Twitter actually locked my account, believe it or not. In the aftermath of that, they actually, restricted my account in December. This is what I'll say. I'm not going to apologize for my comments about the H-1B visa program because my job is to speak for Americans and to stand up for American interests. And our immigration laws have been exploited and abused. And our labor laws have also been exploited and abused. And I'm going to continue being an advocate and a fighter for American workers who are struggling to find employment because they're told they're not the best and the brightest.
There's a lot of people struggling with work. I was talking to my mother about that today. There's a lot of people here in America. I really do believe that too. Like we have a lot of problems, our own citizens, veterans, homelessness, there's just so many things here to address and take care of. Everything sucks. Insurance sucks. There was a lady the other day too. She was like, it was cheaper for her to pay for cash instead of getting insurance, like using her insurance.
In a field, right, in Silicon Valley and tech that is dominated by over 70% imported foreign labor, mostly from China and India. What I will say is that I shouldn't have said some of the things that I said in the other tweets, not about H-1B, and I apologize if my remarks offended people. And I'm here in India this week, and I'm spending several days in India where I'm going to be, traveling the country. I'm very excited to be here. Everybody's been, very friendly. I'm very happy to be able to experience India myself. But I will say I don't have hatred in my heart for India or Hindu people. I'm an advocate for Hindus.
An advocate for Hindus? When? Since when? Oh, there's a chase? Let me see. What? All right, we'll take a little sidestep. Oh, nice. Thank you for that, Jessica. Okay, we got a little chase, guys. What the hell? There's no audio, though, but we got a little chase. Let me zoom it out. Oh, that's perfect, guys. Well, I'll zoom it out. What the hell? I don't know why I'm so big on the screen. Damn. There we go. Oh, they're trying to pit maneuver him already. Swerving a little bit. A little late night chase. Let me see if I can let some people know about the chase. No audio. I wonder what the one is. Empty road too. We're in California. There's nobody on the road. It's just empty. What the? Let's see if we can get any other feeds as well. Kind of curious if we can get a little information about what the want is, what's going on. No audio, huh? Make sure it's not muted. Yeah, no audio. Okay. Oh, the back part of the car's messed up too. Let me, I'm going to do a quick scan and see if any other news stations are there. Oh, traffic. Swerve. Oh, this cop is aggressive. I'm surprised because some of these guys really aren't aggressive.
Maneuver here.
Yeah, here we go.
Particular, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen them try it at least once,
but
what
the hell am I doing?
Looks like they are possibly getting the okay to try to do it and hopefully stop this driver. But so far, that deputy has been unsuccessful.
Yeah, and a lot of this might just
reckless
really
driver
be because of everything else that's in the vicinity. The last thing that law enforcement would likely want to do here is to do a pit maneuver that could result in crashing into a business or a home or maybe even other cars. As we zoom out and give you a better look here, where you see all those other sheriff's deputies in line with that first one that's closest to the pursuit suspect. It was at least 3, if not a little bit more, but as of right now, we've kind of maintained the driving on top of these surface streets. We still haven't seen anything get onto the freeway.
Yeah, I believe we were saying at some point this driver was on the freeway but had gotten off.
So right now, just kind of maintaining an eye and still hovering around that 60-mile-per-hour mark based on our tracker in the top right corner of your screen. Fortunately, there just hasn't been a lot of, we haven't seen a lot of people or other cars, at least in just the last couple of minutes. But there you go. You have someone right now trying to move over and get out of the way because this is still ongoing, especially when you consider that we saw that damage on the back left end of your car.
I want to talk about that for a moment because I'm getting a really good look at it right now. Take a look at how bad that damage is. You can see the bumper completely off. You can see the tire. So I have to imagine that this possibly did happen during this pursuit. We've only been over it for roughly a couple minutes now, but we know that it was started by the sheriff's deputies before we got over it here. So you got to wonder, did they try a pit maneuver?
They attempted it in the exact same spot of this pursuit vehicle. So I would say it's a safe assumption to make given what we know so far and the ongoing details of this pursuit. Because they're just they just keep weaving through traffic, and one would assume trying to buy themselves more time.
But it looks like deputies are backing off just a bit, trying to cool this situation down. For a moment there, one of those deputies, the vehicle was right on the tail of this suspect's car, but they have now backed up. We can't even really see them in our view right now, but you do see that sheriff's helicopter shining the spotlight, so you know that they're still very much pursuing this suspect and they're not going to let this person go.
And one would also think that the driver of this vehicle also knows that spotlight's over top, so even if they think that everyone's backed off and maybe they have a free rein, there's really nothing in that regard. It's just when law enforcement backs off a bit, like you pointed out, Leslie, it's just typically a moment to let things cool down a little bit, maybe reassess and take a look at what's going on here to see how they can approach things. Because up to that point, it was just very neck and neck, very close, and that didn't necessarily put things to an end, at least in that moment.
We want to get our bearings here, but it looks like they are getting on the freeway unless they took the side street here.
A little hard to tell with how dark it is, at least just relatively on the screen that we're looking at right now.
They're going to continue on the streets here in the Downey-Norwalk area, going to bypass some cars here at this intersection and continue on here near Somerset Ranch Road and Merkle Avenue. kind of staying in the same vicinity. We know this started in East LA. They're now down in Norwalk. We're going to continue on, and it looks like sheriff's deputies, at least on the ground, have backed up, trying to just
and the helicopter's
really
just tracking.
cool this situation down as this vehicle is now making its way into a neighborhood.
Yeah,
Mama's house.
Now, this is what we saw just a few minutes ago with these very narrow streets, a lot of cars parked on the side, and it really limits the movement, so it slows them down, and at least that's one positive, so you're not quite as stressed when it comes to perhaps some people coming down, but just blowing through stop signs is still just another
That's Tucker
factor
driving.
that makes you worry at least a bit right now. That helicopter spotlight's still maintaining its view overhead, so authorities are not losing sight of where this car is right now, but it is worth reminding you that there is believed to be 2 people in this car right now, and it's wanted for, their drivers wanted for reckless driving. This has been going on for at least a little bit now. Car still continues to just go through stop signs. We see a few cars here and there, at least on this immediate road, but don't, any moment we thought they would jump on the freeway, they've just really maintained this presence here on surface streets around the Downey Norwalk area, not really going anywhere else as of the last 5 or so minutes.
I wonder if we can zoom out just a little bit. Maybe not, because we don't want to lose the vehicle, especially in an area with so many trees.
Going home?
But I'm not seeing any sheriff's deputies now following this pursuit suspect. So it looks like they've backed up entirely.
Significantly,
entirely, at least not going lights and sirens. I'm not seeing a single deputy vehicle, unless they just came out of that neighborhood, which I believe maybe that was a cruiser, but
and even then,
very
they didn't
much
have the lights on.
Backing up and turning off their lights there and sirens.
Peaceful chase.
As we can see, there's still chopper overhead. So they're not letting this one go just yet.
Right.
But they definitely have backed off to try to diffuse the situation.
And even if it's just from the perspective of us looking from SkyCal overhead, the behavior and the demeanor of this pursuit vehicle, this pursuit suspect, has changed at least a little bit ever since deputies have backed off. They have slowed down. You wouldn't be remiss to say, as you were watching it, that they are perhaps going at least a little bit more with the quote-unquote flow of traffic. Now, there is still, of course, the danger because you don't know what their state of mind is, and we have seen them blow through stop signs. And even just as I say this now you're accelerating to 60 miles an hour. So, there is always that concern, especially when you're in a situation where someone is wanted, and we saw multiple, at least 3 sheriff's deputies, patrol vehicles directly behind. And then, of course, that spotlight that's been the most constant presence since we broke in, of staying over top and maintaining a view on this suspect. And once again, that vehicle damage that has been notable since the start on the back left tire, it's significant. It almost seems like it's almost ripped into the back of the trunk as well. That we presume
appreciate the super chat. Thank you for the support.
Attempted pit maneuver that hasn't quite been confirmed, but then we did see sheriff's deputies attempt another pit maneuver close to 10 minutes ago now, and that one didn't quite work out. It was after that moment that it seemed like they decided to then back off.
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to really get aggressive, try to do that pit maneuver. They were unsuccessful a few times, and then deputies said, hey, this is getting maybe a little too dangerous, too many people on the street for a Sunday night. So let's back up a little bit and let the eye in the sky, the sheriff's helicopter, do most of the work. And that's what we're seeing here. Spotlight is on the car, on the vehicle, and really they were able to get what they wanted for this suspect to kind of slow down, de-escalate the situation. And then I'm sure they're formulating a plan to possibly pick it back up or continue on with the sheriff's helicopter for now until, now we're getting back into driving pretty reckless, bypassing a lot of traffic and picking up speeds.
And we don't know when they could re-engage, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And it could be in the next couple of minutes. It could be an elongated amount of time. Right there, blowing through a red light. I mean, any moment could trigger a response from sheriff's deputies to get back on top of this vehicle. It's just right now they're in tracking mode. They've backed off significantly and just have the spotlight overhead. Now, we were told earlier that CHP is on standby if this does get on the freeway. So everyone's in communication with each other. This seems to have a firm grasp on the control aspect of at least knowing what the suspect is wanted for, where the suspect is, who's in the vehicle. Again, we believe to be 2 people in the vehicle right now, and still
2 people in the vehicle.
Right, we haven't left the Downey-Norwalk area really in the last 10 minutes or so. So they've just maintained themselves here at points going into neighborhoods and going into residential areas, and speed bumps slowing things down. But right now, climbing close to 70 miles an hour here with, fortunately, not too much traffic in this immediate area. But you got to wonder how much longer it'll last from the suspect. And then, of course, from law enforcement as to whether or not they decide to get aggressive again in chasing this person.
Looks like they're coming up on a Caltrans vehicle there, and
back on the highway.
Are they getting on the freeway here?
Almost looks like it, maybe.
It looks like they possibly
back on
are
the highway.
here on 605 North. Yep,
on
getting on the
the
freeway.
highway all night
was on standby, but now that LASD. The sheriff's deputies have backed off and the helicopter's in tracking mode. I wonder if CHP will even take this over. We'll have to wait and see. Sometimes they will, but at this point, we have not heard if CHP is going to take this over, but we do know that that sheriff's helicopter is still tracking this pursuit suspect. And this person wanted for reckless driving, right? So.
Yes.
We've seen them make several reckless moves on city streets here. The 605 North, which they're following right now, pretty empty, always a good sign.
Yeah.
Going about 80 miles per hour. So the hope is that this person will kind of flow with traffic, and these situations can be dangerous, and it will just come to a stop.
The good news, as you pointed out, is just the fact that there aren't a lot of cars here to weave in and out of. And really throughout the course of this, obviously, any sense of recklessness is dangerous because of the potential impact that could have on any number of people who are out and about. But compared to other pursuits that we sort of break in on, we haven't seen that same level of aggression, of bouncing back and forth in between cars, but we certainly have seen running through red lights, running through stop signs, and now with the dynamic having changed, jumping on the 605, and who knows? I mean, typically when we see them jump on the freeway, you're just kind of buying time, sometimes even trying to stay on the freeway for an elongated period of time before then inevitably looping back to where things started and being in an area
just going
that
for a
they
late
are
night
more
cruise.
comfortable in, because
Well,
we've
it's not
seen
late
them
over there,
try
but-
and get away or jump out of a vehicle in an alley or in a neighborhood or of the like. Here in this situation, it'll go as long as it needs to, because not only are they in tracking mode, the sheriff's department is, but as we mentioned to you before, CHP is also on standby, knowing that this is a possibility if they have to take it over. So law enforcement agencies are connected and knowing what exactly is going on here. So that spotlight has maintained its presence overhead.
Yeah.
So there's really nowhere else for this person or perhaps people to go, at least right now.
Yeah, and at this point, they did make a maneuver now on the 105 west from the 605. So heading down the 105, still near the Downey-Norwalk area. Again, this pursuit started in the East LA area with sheriff's deputies from the East LA substation who noticed a driver was driving recklessly. They began that pursuit, took them through the Montebello area. Then we ended up following them closer near Downey-Norwalk. And now the driver on the 105, at this point, we know there's 2 people inside the vehicle. Sheriff's deputies tried to make multiple pit maneuvers. They were unsuccessful. And at one point, I think the situation just got too dangerous. And they said, hey, we're backing off. We are going to let the helicopter take it from here. And so for the last few minutes here, it's just solely been the sheriff's helicopter tracking this pursuit suspect.
And to go on that note that you mentioned about the attempted pit maneuver, at least the one we saw from SkyCal, and that is a line to draw here with the damage that you've seen in the back end back left side of this vehicle, is that in that moment where they sheriff's deputies attempted to do the pit maneuver on this car, there was, not only was it unsuccessful, but then there were moments where it almost seemed like they were going to try again, but they were disrupted, whether it was from other traffic that was on the road. At one point, there was a median that came out, and you saw the sheriff's deputies' patrol vehicle sort of move out of the way just to avoid that. There were just so many variables and other dynamics that were playing a role, at least from our perspective, from what we were able to see, playing a role in perhaps deciding that they should then back off and reassess the situation, because there was no avenue there to perform a clean pit maneuver in that moment. Therefore, then they just backed off. We saw at least 3 patrol cars in that moment sort of be behind this vehicle, and then none within the frame of view that we were able to provide. So again, just that spotlight overhead, maintaining the view, and now we're sitting in the carpool lane on the 105 going west with no indication as to how much longer they're going to keep this going.
And it look like he's going to stop. He's just committed to it.
Pursuits go, if not hours, multiple hours. And we're hoping, of course, that is not the case in this situation. You want these to end as quick as possible, because other drivers on the roadway, they're most at risk of danger. But at this point, it looks like this person is just going to keep going. I will tell you, Gio, I'm working with our desk to try to get more information here, because they are able to listen to scanners at the same time. And I believe that there was some talk about having officers on the ground re-engage and getting CHP officers in position to re-engage this suspect and begin this pursuit. Since it's now on the 105 freeway, it's been on the freeway for some time. They went from the 605 to the 105, and this is now CHP territory.
I was going to bring up that exact point about the fact that, you know, sometimes we see a typical pattern of commute when it comes to pursuit suspects. As we've mentioned, you hang out in those surface area streets of an area you're familiar with to try and find some sort of escape avenue, and put that in quotes, escape avenue. We tend to end up getting caught regardless. But after then getting on the 605 and going northbound, but then quickly pivoting back to the 105, which is where we are now, going west and getting into Compton. So going from Downey Norwalk west now into Compton, who's to say that they don't turn right back around? We've seen that before. But again, there's no indication from this suspect as of right now as to what direction they're going to go, or if they're just going to maintain this. Obviously, we know the 105 isn't endless. At a certain point, they're either going to have to turn around or go north or go south. But as of right now, we're just keeping an eye on this, because everybody is still in communication with each other as to what exactly is going on. We've mentioned to you that CHP was notified about what's going on, whether or not they needed to be on standby to take this over now that it's jumped on the freeway. But, you know, really, it's worth pointing out again, even as they jumped on the freeway, 605 now going west on the 105, we still haven't seen any law enforcement, you know, really get up close and behind. But we've had close calls like that.
KHA's been up watching the weather. Was 72 today. Them tornadoes. Now it will be freezing temps in the morning. Good to see you on.
Two vehicles to try to
what's going on with the weathers? I heard.
We said it. CHP
the cops are back.
Engaging this
cops are back at
suspect. And this, again,
put some pressure on
territory.
And it's worth also another good point to point out that now with the re-engagement, it also helps the other drivers on the road, too. Yeah. When you see the flashing lights and you see everything else that's going on, and now when it starts getting congested like this, it's a good, like, hey, guys, we got to start
between
moving.
Two vehicles once again, the carpool lane and the freeway as CHP right on the tail of this pursuit suspect. You see that driver on the carpool lane getting out of the way, going into the shoulder, just to give room for that CHP cruiser.
Yeah, we're being told right now that we might have Dave Avila on the phone right now. We've been trying to connect with Dave throughout the night to see if we can get an extra perspective. Dave, can you hear us all right?
How do you hear me?
We do hear you. We hear a bit of an echo, though, to be perfectly honest with you. So I just want to make sure we have a clean communication so we don't disrupt you throughout the course of this conversation.
How are you hearing me now?
We hear you great.
Okay, I guess it's working.
Yeah, perfect.
Dave, I know you've been watching this. We were trying to connect with you.
Yes.
If you don't know, Dave Avila, retired LAPD helicopter pilot there. But we're watching CHP re-engage this reckless driving suspect now. Any information you're hearing from your sources?
It's exactly that. You know, it was the sheriff's caper that started this whole thing, and then afterwards it went back on to Chippy's, and we've been back and forth. The air unit is still overhead. You know, they have sometimes they got this new thing where they'll go ahead and pull the light off the suspect, try to de-escalate the situation. They got a new name for it. I forget what it is, but it's basically they want to de-escalate it. But CHP will go ahead and stay on it. And as we know, just like any other department, when you get CHP involved, they like all the other units to pull off, you know, sheriffs or LAPD, whoever it is. In this case, it's sheriffs, because they all play up their own rule book, for lack of a better term, unless things start going sideways. And then they'll request more units.
Yeah, it looks like like another CHP cruiser now joining in on this pursuit, as the suspect looks to possibly
it almost looked like
it looked like they were going to exit the.
You can see all the choppers
here.
too on fly radar. There's like 4 choppers.
No, well,
we're gonna have to follow this a bit.
Dave, while we keep an eye on
Probably
this,
heading on the 110.
The what? Yep, there you go. Yeah, it looks like it might jump on the 110 here. What goes into the decision, Dave? Because over the course of this pursuit for the last 20 minutes or so, you know, we saw sheriff's deputies and everybody back off and give a pretty lengthy amount of space and time to sort of reassess the situation. At what point does it trigger? Okay, we need to re-engage in this situation.
The danger involved. If it gets to the point where that did not work, you know, if they pulled off, they said, let's go ahead and give this suspect some time, some space. Air unit will turn off its light.
Sober up.
And which they just re-engaged because it's not that wasn't working. So he got on the freeway. So CHP said, hey, so for the safety of the citizens, let's go ahead and re-engage this pursuit. We'll get the air unit back on it with the night sun. And, you know, at least give some people some warning of what's happening. But, you know, we've all been on that freeway and we've had cars pass us by, you know, 90 miles per hour. And it's kind of like, whoa, you know, didn't even see them coming. So hopefully this puts a warning out to the folks there.
Yeah, it can be a very dangerous situation. But now definitely more CHP. 3 now jumping in on this pursuit, as you were mentioning, Dave. They're on the 110 South right now. It looks like if they do what other pursuit suspects will do, possibly heading back to the same direction. We know this started in East Los Angeles. You know, they can always go down the 91 or the 405 here. So we'll just continue watching this one. But there was a couple of pit maneuvers we saw that the sheriff's deputies were very close, Dave, but it just unsuccessful there.
Yeah, you know, like right now, it wouldn't be a good time to pull a pit maneuver right now because of the vehicles that are on the freeway, unless they can, you know, get the traffic stopped and get the suspect up there. But you know, the other thing, the desperation of all, and you know, good point, Leslie, because we've always seen where these suspects like to hang out in that neighborhood, let's say the east side, somewhere that they're familiar with. So, you know, we're southbound the 110 freeway, you know, we're going to come up to 105 and, we're going to come up to the other freeways. We could always start heading back that way. But, you know, the thing we have to look at also is that the suspect, I mean, they are doing everything they can to stay away from the officers. So we don't know what's going on. The seriousness.
They're going away from
crime,
the airport.
If it's
they were heading towards it, but they're going away.
If it's more than Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
We have to, you know, so we have to keep that in mind too. Why are they intent on getting away?
Yeah, especially if this started as a reckless driving
criminal
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's more behind it. Does this person have a criminal record or a want? But it's heading south down the I-10.
Trying to get away.
On top of the fact, Dave, that also I think another variable and dynamic is it looks like they're taking an exit. Did it look like the 405?
I want to say it did look like the 405.
That there's believed to be another person in the car too. So we know, as you've brought this up many times before, when you have a single suspect, they might be jumping on the phone, trying to call friends for help. That sort of dynamic starts evolving. But when you have an extra person in the car directly next to you, then that becomes a very tangible thing where you're perhaps discussing it with somebody else in the car with you, and that elongates what is already a rather long pursuit and situation.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we're talking desperation here. I mean, it's that's why when you're an officer and you're chasing this suspect, yeah, it's a reckless driver, and the first thing you're thinking, okay, so what are they running away from? Is it a shooting, a gang shooting? Is it a 211? Are they armed? We don't know. So many factors to consider in any type of pursuit, and every pursuit is monitored. That's why we have all these new rules. You know, we didn't have them in the old days, but now we do. You know, first thing, of course, is public safety. We got to, you know, we're not real sure of the nature of the offense. We know what we have right now, but you know, then you have to consider officer safety, get an air unit overhead, and it's always the danger to the public, and that's obviously been shown because they re-engage the pursuit. You know, how often we've seen that. They usually pull off and they stay off, but no, not here. That's not the case tonight.
Yeah, they re-engaged, and now if we can zoom out, I want to see if any CHP cruisers are behind this, and they're not lights and sirens. You see them there, but they turned off lights and sirens, of course.
Where are they going? He's going back towards
Dave, to again
airport.
de-escalate this situation.
Yeah, it's exactly what they're doing here. So let's just see. But they, and it's up to the, it's up to the whoever's going to run this show. Is it going to be the primary unit, the ranking officer in the
Airport's
primary
over
unit?
here.
In this case, it's the chippies, not the sheriffs. Or
This
is
is
it
the
the incident
405.
commander, sergeant involved, which it probably is, because everybody has a incident commander. The procedure is you got the units in pursuit. Here's the CHP who's taking over for the sheriffs. They request a backup. They get a backup going, and then they request a supervisor to enter the pursuit. That's usually your textbook is 3 vehicles. And then that supervisor, once they get there, they become the incident commander. In other words, they monitor the pursuit. How dangerous is it to the public? Is the continued pursuit of this outweigh the danger that's out there in any type of pursuit, whether it be on the freeway, the street, slow, fast, whatever's going on? So obviously in this one, they decided, yeah, we're going to keep it going. And so far, I mean, it's the suspect staying between the lines. That's a big factor.
He's courteous,
We
respectful,
were making that point
mindful.
earlier, Dave, about the fact that,
Self-awareness.
relatively speaking to
kind.
the typical pursuits that we jump in on, yes, we've had a lot of close calls, and that obviously is a significant cause for concern and danger because you never want anything to happen. But they're not exactly, weaving or going to 90, 100 miles an hour like we
Must be an
sometimes
empath.
see in these situations. You even think of, like, to your previous point about taking a big old circle to maybe go back and circle back to a place they're familiar with, because we spent quite a lot of time in the Downey, Norwalk area. I have no idea how long they plan on extending this.
Yeah, just to give everyone an update.
Heading towards the airport.
They're now on the 405 North. They were on the 110. And my thought process here, Dave, was, of course, I questioned, will they go back to where they started, back in East LA? I would have thought they would have headed south, maybe up the 605 or the 710, get back that way. But we went 405 North. So now we got to wonder, how long is this thing going to go?
Yeah,
Gas prices are up.
Let's see. I mean, it's with all of our freeways, the way they crisscross back and forth, and these people, they know exactly where they're going or what they're thinking. He's got, or he or she, not sure yet, haven't verified that.
We don't know. You're right.
Yeah, we don't know. There's a lot of discussion going on. As you mentioned earlier, that passenger's probably on the cell phone talking to somebody, saying, and they're feeding them information. Yeah, I mean, it's that's why LA's people often ask, why do we have so many pursuits in Los Angeles area? So take a look at our freeways. They're usually dry, they're wide, they're open, they crisscross all over the place. You can go anywhere you want in minutes. And that's about where we're at now. So yeah, we may see the suspect head back east and head back to that area because, as you mentioned, we talked about, that's usually what they like to do. So we'll see here. It'll take a little bit.
Here's something new too. I was kind of wondering about this. I had heard that, like, supposedly LAX is not going to allow helicopters to request and receive permission to pass through or transit its Class B airspace. So I don't know what's going to happen right now, if they're going to get permission or not. I had heard about that. You can kind of see here I don't know what's going to happen. They're kind of coming up on this. Airport's right there. Wonder if that was intentional.
By yourself sort of elongated stretches of road where you're not having to bounce back and forth through red lights, stop signs, and other cars that may or may not be in your way.
You can see the planes coming in.
A clean,
the plane coming into land,
relatively speaking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's yeah. We'll just see what's going here, and you know,
unless he makes the right, maybe he goes to the right
side. If they're staying south of the Hollywood Hills, it get to be a little unusual when we see somebody that's been racing down here in the south end, Los Angeles, head out to the valley. And
they might not know that area too well. It looked like they were
There you
going
go.
to get off here on El Segundo in the Inglewood area. We'll see if they
might still be
continue to do so. Yeah, it looked like they were going to get off, and then they swerved back right onto the freeway. And I believe they're still on the 405. It's hard
also
to make
a little
out
dark,
here. It's very dark in this area. But it'll be interesting to see what this driver does next. It looks like CHP has definitely pulled back, if not all the way off. I'll have to check with our news desk here to see.
You see the choppers now? They're kind of
in tracking mode. I'm not even seeing
like they kind of stopped.
A helicopter
I don't know if they're going around
spotlight now.
I think that might actually be playing into the fact that it's a little hard to make out. Is not
Yeah,
being
that
able
was
to see.
helping us earlier.
But it looks like at least
the 105.
Yeah, the 105. So you know
they can't. I don't think they can cross this path.
we're just still
We're not
going.
seeing the spotlight right now, Dave. Is it possible that they pulled off altogether? I'll have to check with our news desk.
They that, or they just may have gone into the monitoring mode, where they're just going to sit back. They, you know, and for you know, we used to call it de-escalation. They got some new terms now, but might just be what they're doing now. You know, just pull the black and whites off.
Well, especially, sorry to cut you off, Dave, but I'd have to imagine if this is, you know, if it is reckless driving, if it's not auto theft or anything like that, you know all the information of the vehicle. So if they've determined perhaps that we have all the information, we know who the people are, and that we've deemed that it's perhaps safer to just pull off entirely and give them that quote unquote sense of security, then that might be the better call as opposed to the more aggressive tactics we've seen even just as recently as half an hour ago.
Yeah, exactly, Gio. I mean, that's just the way it is now. As much as I hate to say it, because, you know, before we would never let a suspect go. But it's it's a good, that's a good theory. Could exactly happen that way. Or hopefully
two helicopters have kind of just stopped.
Keep an eyeball on them. And
I don't know. I guess they're zooming in. I don't know where he's going now. Two of the helicopters like just have stopped here by the 405. Two other ones, it looks like they're going around, I guess. Going all the way around, maybe, because you know you have these airplanes coming flying in,
swinging around. We also have to keep in mind we're, you know, being in Westchester. I would assume we're getting close to LAX airspace, so we got to be careful in terms of you know, flying too close and getting into any restricted zones. And because of this overpass and everything else, it makes it really difficult to make out, on top of the fact that we don't have the spotlight overhead. So then, you know, factor that into nighttime.
Maybe he's going to get away.
That is why we're pretty far from that vehicle, but it looks like they're going to continue on. That does not look like our vehicle here.
Uh-oh.
We got to see if that one is.
Somebody else.
We know it has that back end damage. It looks like that is it. Yep, because you can see that back end damage there.
You can see that TC.
Yep. So yeah, we're pulled a little bit far back. Some of these buildings are going to be in our way here, but that is because we're near the LAX airspace. But this is the vehicle. We're going to wait for it right there.
The choppers are coming back.
We know exactly, Dave, as you were saying, because of that back end damage. So it's pretty significant damage there.
Yeah, it's hard to miss.
Exactly. So it looks like, what's he doing now? Westbound? I'm going westbound now. Heading towards the beach.
Rock, thanks for the 10. That's what I figured.
Yeah,
if some of these career criminals, if they watch and study, I mean, if I was a criminal, I'd be watching this kind of stuff and studying. I know the airport's a place to lose helicopters, media, LAPD, downtown. A lot of people go to downtown LA to get lost. You know, they drive their car into some parking lot. It's kind of hard. They got the buildings, provide cover.
And the other thing we've seen too is, I mean, sometimes we get kind of confused where we're going. We just look for a big boulevard and take off. So,
yeah, and that
might be the case here.
Yeah, I was going to say that might
I
be
drive
the
right
case
into the
with
airport.
This driver here again. If you're joining us, we've been on this
In-N-Out. I think I've been to that In-N-Out.
Most of the hour here
at
at
least by the
9
airport.
p.m. And this driver wanted for reckless driving started in East LA. We believe.
I don't see what the craze is about In-N-Out. I just don't. I don't think it's fascinating or nothing. And the fries, they're the most plain, ugly tasting fries ever. And the only thing that's supposed to make it good is all this junk that they throw on top of it called, I forgot what they call it, animal, whatever.
But
605 to 105, and then 405.
Yeah.
It was a bevy of freeways and bouncing back and forth through all of them.
Yeah, and now closer towards the
There's the
Hawthorne
airport.
area at this
Yeah.
point. And you'll see, we'll try to get our bearings here and see if we can find that vehicle. It is, I believe it.
Might be up there heading east. He might be looking to get back on the 105 eastbound.
It could be, considering how congested
Praying
everything was.
gesture emoji, red heart emoji,
we mentioned earlier
party
about
face
the
emoji, USA emoji.
the non-likelihood of
Now's
them
the
going
best.
north and continuing on the 405 northbound closer toward the valley, but and perhaps just looping it back around to get back to East LA in that area.
And
But
we do
Oh, yeah,
see
Donna. Thank you for the 11 months.
a cruiser
Black and
right
white.
there. Don't know if
supposed to
maybe
show
they had their eye on that pursuit suspect,
Booty
but it
juice.
looks like SkyCal may have
Tropic Thunder.
lost this vehicle for now. But I will tell you, law enforcement was
Yeah.
on their tail. Then they
They might have
backed
pulled it
off.
off.
Then they decided to go into tracking mode.
Rock, thank you.
And
That's
they really did pull off.
that's the key too to
This
remember
pursuit.
is that they did pull off, and not just pull off, but then the spotlight also pulled off too. So obviously we'll continue to monitor the situation, but it's a reckless driving pursuit suspect. Keeping an eye on him right now as we see what happens next. But Dave, we do want to thank you for your time. We certainly appreciate you on a
No
Sunday night
worries.
joining us.
Anytime. You both take care now.
You've been to LAX back in '98. It was years ago when I went.
This
I was
is CBS LA.
I was surprised how, just in my opinion, how shitty the airport was. I was like, this is LAX? Like a rundown. They didn't even have AC. Shit was like run down. Half of the restaurants or whatever bars were like closed and stuff. I was like, this is LAX? I feel like I was flying to a third world country or something. The airport, I was so unimpressed. I was like, this is their airport? They probably fixed it by now. Maybe it was under some kind of construction or something, but I was like, wow. They did have a good pizza place, though. I forgot the name of the pizza, though. That was a fire-ass pizza. Oh, man. Oh, no, never mind. That was Tennessee. When I flew out to Tennessee. No, never mind. Never mind. There's nothing fire about LAX, actually. The chopper right there. Let me look at the map. There's like once this chase thing is over, I think there's like 2 or 3 other things I wanted to show with the Tucker thing. Theo Von had some thoughts on the Israeli war and politics. And then there's this one guy, the moderate class. I think he's pretty good. He explained a little bit of his thoughts about the Tucker thing. This feed has no audio, by the way, so we just gotta get what we can get, I guess. Beggars can't be choosers. Well, that guy last night was like, beggars can't be choosers. Let me look at the choppers, too. The choppers in the air. See, what is this here? There's one chopper here. Okay, this is Los Angeles County. Heading towards the airport. All the other choppers have kind of moved down a little bit. They're at West Athens. I wonder if they lost them. There's an LA helicopter right here. I wonder if they lost track of this guy. They used to be able to request permission. They traffic in like call into the traffic radio. Hey, can we cross? Whatever. And sometimes yes, sometimes no. You can cross this path because all these planes are coming into land. We don't need another Reagan DCA crash. And so now apparently they're not allowed, really, from what I heard, they're not allowed to. So that's why you see them like going around. I think he might have pulled it off. I mean, unless they know who the person is, they can catch them later, I guess. License plate, if it's their vehicle. It says the FAA is evaluating tighter restrictions on visual flight rules, operation near LAX. While the review is ongoing, air traffic controllers are denying requests from helicopter pilots to enter or cross the airspace, often due to traffic volume, complexity, weather, and other factors. Yeah, I mean, it's high traffic. Planes are flying in all the time. This impacts public safety operations significantly, with LAPD helicopters being restricted. Even LAPD restricted. With LAPD helicopters restricted from responding in several divisions near LAX until further notice. Even LAX. So this chopper, this is the Los Angeles County chopper, Sheriff's Department. It looks like they might be leaving. This chopper that we're watching too, it looks like they're heading out. I think the guy made it. He's gone. That cop that was on top of him at the beginning of the chase, I really feel like he could have had him. I don't know what happened there. He was aggressive, but not aggressive enough. This would have been over from the beginning. These choppers are crossing over to the other side. This person probably maybe knew that. Maybe they had some little thought. Let me get to the airport. This is a benefit for the criminals. I mean, I understand the whole restriction thing. This is a high velocity. It's busy. Man, I wonder if they should make an exception for LAPD, but it's not worth, hitting a plane, I guess, taking out a couple of hundred people. I did have some good seafood when I went to LA. They had some, I don't remember what it was called. I found this place that had some really good food. I couldn't see myself living there though, but LAPD. Yeah, I think that's it. Another woman bites the dust. Let me check real quick the Twitter scanner pages, see if they have anything to say about this. Pup Scan retired, so he's not doing the chases anymore. Jimmy Kimmel calls America a ridiculous country and says he is exhausted. So get out, motherfucker. Is exhausted. We live in a ridiculous. Get your ass out of here. The Cuba stuff that's going on too is interesting, guys. I don't know if you knew Cuba is going through all this crazy shit. They don't have power. This post from an hour ago is saying the entire island of 11 million plunged into darkness. I thought it was like a huge part of the island. I don't know. This post says the whole island is claiming. And the president over there is blaming Trump because, I guess Venezuela, their supply of stuff got cut. People in Cuba are upset. They're unhappy. Civil unrest. That's going to be a whole situation, too. I wish we could see what was going on over there. I've only seen small little clips and snippets. I guess they don't have any power. Let me show. What do we do? Oh, is it this? Yeah. This was so weird, man. Ben Stiller. They say Ben Stiller was, I guess he's launching a line of sodas. So he was like standing in the supermarket. Oh no. Here. Oh, what kind of music that is. Ben Stiller. Oh, it's called Stiller, huh? I used to like him until he became deranged. All right, so let's get this. This guy, this is the moderate class. This is his theory about the Tucker Carlson stuff, which I thought was pretty.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power.
What I'm not going to do is get on the internet and say, well, Tucker Carlson should be arrested for treason, because as of right now, there are no charges. There is no confirmed investigation, and the CIA and the DOJ have not verified any of these claims. So at the moment, what we're dealing with is Tucker Carlson's allegation, not a confirmed criminal case. But importantly, guys, the way that Tucker has framed this situation is that the CIA was spying on him. I want to point out firstly that talking to an official in Iran is not actually illegal under FARA. Journalists talk to foreign officials all the time, analysts talk to them, diplomats talk to them, even political commentators and scholars, they talk to foreign officials. Simply communicating or texting somebody from another country, even somebody who is connected to a government the United States is hostile to, or that is an adversary of America, is not a crime. It's not illegal. For this to become a criminal case under FARA, the government would have to show that Tucker was acting on behalf of the Iranian government inside the United States, meaning that he was operating under their direction or control and engaging in political activity for them without registering under FARA. And there's a very high legal bar there, and historically when FARA cases actually happen, they involve things like lobbying contracts, PR firms working for foreign governments, or political consulting operations. It's not just simply a journalist or commentator talking to a foreign source or foreign official. But again, Tucker's claim is that the CIA was spying on his text messages. One possibility would be that US intelligence agencies were directly targeting Tucker, which would raise huge legal questions because the CIA, as he says, is not supposed to spy on American citizens inside of the United States. The other possibility, and frankly the one that I think is more likely and one that intelligence experts immediately bring up, is that the target wasn't Tucker Carlson at all. It wasn't him. It could have been, and is likely the case, if this is true, that it was the people in Iran that he was talking to. When intelligence agencies monitor foreign officials overseas, which is what the CIA is supposed to do, they often collect communications, phone calls, text messages, emails, involving those individuals. And if those individuals happen to be texting or communicating with someone inside the United States, in this case Tucker, those messages can sometimes show up in intelligence databases as what's called incidental collection. To put it more plainly, Tucker Carlson's text messages theoretically could have appeared because the Iranian side of the conversation, who he was talking to, was being monitored and spied on, not because he himself.
I think that's very plausible. That's a possible explanation. Here's one more from this guy.
Think so, but this is probably breaking news when it comes to the entire media landscape right now. Donald Trump recently put out a statement defending Mark Levin. Mark Levin has been under attack by people like Candace Owens, Tucker.
Weird, what's going on here?
You might not.
Okay, perfect. This is what I showed earlier, the Trump post about Mark Levin.
They say he has a dual loyalty and his primary interest is Israel. And Trump just released this statement at the time of this video about an hour ago, saying Mark Levin, a truly great American patriot, is somewhat under siege by other people with far less intellect, capability, and love for our country. He goes on to say he is a true conservative and intellect, far smarter than those who criticize him, but above all, he is a man of great wisdom and common sense who truly loves our country. He says, when you hear others unfairly attack Mark, remember that they are jealous and angry human beings whose sway is much less than the public understands and will, now that they Mark Levin by the wayside this regime to hold, and this is make America great again. Like I said, this is arguably breaking news because it has the potential to have shockwave impacts all throughout the public opinion on social media. You add this on top of what has recently gone down with Tucker Carlson and his claims about the CIA having a case against him for being in connection or communication with Iranian officials. Historically, when Trump endorses people or speaks out against people, usually the people he endorses, they do better than the people who he speaks out against, and the people who he speaks out against, they tend to suffer a lot of consequences. I'll put it that way. But who knows? I think the public opinion in America has shifted so sharply, probably against the war in Iran, that many people might actually start to say, Trump, we're actually not with you anymore. But I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. So I haven't watched this yet. People are talking about
I have spoken
this.
about this before, but I do have a lot of uncomfort about America's relationship with Israel, the Israeli political.
Oh, well, this thing's not working for me. Okay.
Before, but I do have a lot of uncomfort about America's relationship with Israel, the Israeli political leaders. That's what I mean. I believe that group it just feels like a satanic regime. It doesn't seem like, it feels like they just want to cause pain.
Wow. Oh, man. Ooh, Theo came out and said he feels like they're a satanic regime. Talking about Israel.
I have spoken about this before, but I do have a lot of uncomfort about America's relationship with Israel, the Israeli political leaders. That's what I mean. I believe that group it just feels like a satanic regime. It doesn't seem like, it feels like they just want to cause pain. Damn. They just, I mean, they don't even know where all the bodies from Gaza are, and they're already moved on to other places that they are attacking, and that America's associated now with their attacks. And I believe that will come here one day. I don't believe that the Israeli leaders, that they have any intention to stop that. I don't see that they have any care for the American people. It doesn't seem like that. I've never heard that spoken. And I believe that if we don't speak up now, that our children won't have the chance to speak up, either by law or by worse. And that may sound crazy to some people, and that's fine if it does. If it does sound crazy to you and you think I'm crazy on that point of view, that's okay. I don't, I may disagree with you, but that's okay. I do want to, I worked hard to be able to have a voice for myself. And so I hope at least you just respect that, or I hope at least you just see that. Like, at least I'm trying to say what I want to say. And I don't understand our government's relationship with Israel's leaders and with Israel's government. I don't understand it. It feels like there's this war machine, and then our soldiers are put into these spaces, and they're just there to serve an America that they believe in. And it's no knock against them or anything like that. It's just, it just feels like it's causing a lot of pain and fear. And yeah, I don't understand I don't understand Trump's relationship. I don't understand our political, like, why we are so beholden to this government, this Israeli government that just seems to be obsessed with control. And it feels like bloodlust, like they just it's not enough. Like, after what happened in Gaza, I don't see how there could be any other view. But if someone else has a different one, that's okay. That's their point of view. I'm just happy to be able to speak up for myself, even if I'm wrong. Even if I'm wrong, there's a part of me that, even though I feel scared sometimes, that I'm happy to be able to speak up for myself and say that.
Even though you feel scared sometimes of what? Speaking up maybe, or retaliation?
Because it's, having a voice has always been important to me. And I'm sure it is to a lot of people. And they're making laws now. There are bills being presented where we won't even have a chance to have a voice at some point. There's surveillance infrastructure that's being put into place. There's a lot of things happening right now, and some people are like, well, it's too much for me to get involved in. I understand that. But yeah, I believe that if we don't speak up now, and it may already be too late, but if we don't speak up now, that one day our kids will not be able to. And it's disappointing to me too that a lot of our religious leaders haven't said anything. I don't understand it. I don't understand that. But there's a lot of stuff I don't understand, you know? And I think this has been going on for a long time. I do not understand Trump's like infatuation with or like beholding to this government. But they've had, you know, Israeli government's been involved in America for a long time throughout countless political party leaders. So it's nothing new. It just feels very extreme right now, and it feels very scary. That's what it feels like. And I don't understand how our relationship with them is helping America.
I forgot what I remember a while back he had said something or spoken out about something. He got a lot of backlash. I think he even like took a break. Like he's like, I got to take a break or get off or something. Taiwan is trending. I know they were talking about like these ships or some. A lot of people are showing false information with Taiwan as far as like May 26, 2024. They're showing like a map of all these Navy ships and stuff. But with Taiwan, I think there is like, they had like all these Chinese planes come around. But like the thing is, there was like, they had some type of conference where it would have been normal for there to be a dip in planes. Let me see, I have the article here, and now it's back. And so I don't really know if it's anything or not, or, you know, are they being opportunistic? Because now we're dealing with Iran. Taiwan saw a surge of Chinese military planes near the island. Its defense ministry said Sunday, after a sharp drop in flights over the past 2 weeks had sparked discussions. The ministry detected 26 Chinese military aircraft around the island on Saturday, with 16 of them entering its northern, central, and southwestern air defense identification zone. 7 naval ships were spotted around the island, it's reported. The increased number of aircraft came after the ministry reported a fall that left analysts scratching their head about what China's military is up to. Taiwan didn't report any military planes that were beyond the median line and entered the zone for a week from February 27 to March 5th. After 2 were detected on March 6th, the next 4 days had none. Such flights resumed in small numbers between Wednesday and Friday. The drop may coincide with the annual meeting in China's legislature. While such flights have fallen in the past during major events and public holidays, this year's fall was more prominent than in the past. Some observers also suggested that the decline may be driven by a shift to a next phase in China's military training. So I don't know yet. I'm kind of just like watching and eyeing, but there was like a fake post going around that people were posting. It was going viral on X, and it was this one, but this is like an actual old picture. It's a lot of fake stuff on X. This got community noted. It's from May 26, 2024. All right, let me see if there's anything else. If not, maybe we'll call it. I guess we'll see what tomorrow brings. Let me see, did I miss anything? There's so much crap with the politics stuff. Mandami. Trump backs Levin in fiery feud with Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly. Oh, and you know, Mark loved it that the president made the post. The president, I'm beyond humbled by your words and graciousness in writing such a beautiful note and sharing it on Truth Social. I'm honored that you took the time to write it. Your courage, strength, and moral clarity are truly unparalleled, and your leadership has made. Wow. Oh, Candace is involved. What happened? This was 3 hours ago. I say this with the utmost respect in the world, but you are way too butt-ass ugly to be commenting on Megyn Kelly's looks. She objectively looks at least a decade younger than you do, Larry. Respectfully submitted. So there's all this drama with these people. What happened here? I have this like crush from afar on Mark. I secretly from afar am like a Mark Levine stalker. Who, that Megyn Kelly said this shit?
That was the only reason. I have this like crush from afar on Mark Levin. I've always loved him. I agree with Sean that he's the great one. I listen to everything he says. I read his books. But I secretly from afar am like a Mark Levin stalker.
That was the only reason.
I have this like crush from afar.
They got the guy that caught the dude to chase. It's the AXN. Let's see real quick. Oh my God, and where they catch him? In a parking garage? Just to put a little bow tie on it and wrap this part up. AXN News, good guy. Check him out on YouTube. Subscribe. He's out there.
Did they pull this guy out the car? Was he driving?
I don't know. When I got here, he was already in cuffs. They were already
Already in cuffs. Okay, let me rewind a little bit. They caught him. Is that him? No, Sanchez, Tony. They got him. We look like we could be cousins or something. Oh, God. Oh, no. So they caught his ass. All right. Oh, they're looking for one more person. Interesting. So, yeah, Megyn Kelly, as I mentioned earlier, she said micro penis Mark thinks he has the monopoly on lewd. He tweets about me obsessively in the crudest, nastiest terms possible, literally more than some stalkers I've had. More projection from Grandma Groiper. Who's Kenneth talking to here? Oh, Larry. Oh, man. All Out War. Jordan Peterson. Why don't you leave this guy alone? Isn't he like struggling and shit? Wait, what? You cannot twist the fabric of reality without it snapping back. Though his words were not shared in the context of today's current events, they ought to be recalled as we examine the objective failure of this administration's disastrous decision to attack Iran. Over the last 3 years, especially, we have watched Zionists bend the fabric of reality. Actually, that's your MO, bending the fabric of reality. It's kind of rich coming from you. But they have purchased views, influencers, and journalists. They have activated millions of online bots. They even went so far as to stage an open takeover of TikTok. They grew incensed that the youth was sympathetic to Palestine. With a seemingly unlimited budget, they have feverishly banned accounts and passed speech laws, only to discover that none of these actions amount to real power. In fact, they represent actions taken when power is on the brink of collapse. Because while the bots can land in every comment section across social media, they can't land planes in the Middle East. That's probably coming though. Bots are not capable of putting their boots on the ground and delivering you Iran. It turns out you need real human beings for that. The very kind that they have banned, blocked, and smeared for the better part of the last 3 years. No matter how many articles Barry Weiss publishes or how many monologues Mark stammers through, the overwhelming majority of people in the world sense that Charlie Kirk, oh God, where are we going with Charlie? What? Why Charlie now? Charlie Kirk was murdered for opposing this war, and that Israel's hands are not clean in the story. Charlie Kirk's assassination and Netanyahu's response to it was consequential to Israel. There is now a foundational principle that magicians should never believe in their own magic, says the master wizard. It is important to draw a distinction between illusion and reality. This is crazy, coming from this psychotic ass person. And she might not be psychotic. She might just know what she's doing and know that this is the route to go, her niche. It was a reality that people like myself and Tucker Carlson and Megyn, however ignorant we may or may not have been in our earlier assessments, once genuinely supported Israel and thought Zionism was a moral position. We may have been wrong, but we were many. More crucially, the American people as a whole believed in the innocence and friendship of Israel and were therefore willing to die overseas to defend her. All of that goodwill has now evaporated, and it happened virtually overnight. In their sheer arrogance, rather than meaningfully working to restore relationships, Zionists continue to use tactics to slander, deception, lawfare, and yes, murder to force their perspectives. They no longer seem capable of making a distinction between illusion and reality. They wrongly assume that with enough money, they could purchase the truth. Zionists are quite literally their own worst enemies right now. No one believes them about anything anymore, nor should they. Calls to prosecute Tucker Carlson or to bankrupt Candace Owens. What? Bankrupt Candace Owens registered to public as exactly what they are: rabid, ill-advised demands from a bunker normally made right before an empire is about to fall, before reality snaps. Just my opinion. I saw a guy, I don't know if I still have the video somewhere. There was a guy that he was, damn, I don't know where that shit's at. Did I bookmark it? I didn't bookmark it. They recently, Candace and Ian Carroll, whatever, they were pushing some crazy thing about, I don't know, it was like an audio clip, and they were trying to say it was Erica. It was some crazy, and they were all wrong. And then they try to walk it back and downplay it. I don't remember the whole story because I can't keep up and follow crazy because I can't be demented like them. Let them drive themselves nuts, you know. I don't know where that clip is at though. There was some guy talking about it. The proposed Erica Kirk audio going around has been debunked. These people, these insane, they pushed all this crazy shit, and now it's debunked.
Files that was actually not a PDF, it was an audio file hidden. He used some pretty concrete language, not gonna lie. He's like, it's Erica for sure. As in like Erica Kirk.
Like, what can I do to make more money?
Crazy sells though, I guess. Five weeks after October 7th, Carlson refers to the attempted genocide as pretty strange. I guess that's it. I guess that's it for tonight. Yeah, I think the Erica Kirk thing is just messed up. Whatever you think about her, whatever, like it's just literal targeting and series and documentaries and shit. It's too much. But I guess that's it, man. You guys rest up. You guys tomorrow. See you this week. This is spring break. For I guess depends where you're at, and for my daughter, it's spring break, so I'll be around, chilling, relaxing, and doing some things. Let's see if there's anything else here. Ben Shapiro. Dr. Shapiro. Damn, Nancy Mace. What happened to this lady?
Okay, this is final roll call, and we are headed out of Ben Gurion Airport. We have 155 on our flight manifest. Lots of babies and young families and a lot of students.
Breaking, Candace Owens shared her opinion on Laura Loomer's looks, describing her as but oh, she was talking about Laura Loomer. I wasn't sure who she was talking to. Oh, I get it now. I didn't understand. When she said Larry, she was talking about Laura Loomer. Because I forgot, there used to be all these rumors, or people used to say that Laura was trans, you know, like people had said that. There was like all this stuff back in the day, I guess. And so Candace, oh, she got a little snippy. I don't understand. I was like, who's Larry? I don't know what she was talking about. She said, Larry. Oh, shit. Did you guys catch that? She said she came out and said, I don't know who the hell you think you're talking about. I say this with the utmost respect in the world, but you're way too ugly. I mean, ugly. Butt-ass ugly to be commenting on Megyn Kelly's looks. She objectively looks a decade younger than you do, Larry. Oh, shit. I forgot about that because they were saying that was Laura's real name was Larry or something like that. That's what they were trying to say. Did she respond to this? She didn't respond? I'm surprised Laura didn't respond. She responded to everything. Wow. I despise her politics, but calling her ugly isn't right from a Christian point of view. What? As Catholics, we're supposed to guard our speech and remember that every person bears the image of God, even the people we strongly disagree with. Mocking someone's appearances hardens the heart and pulls us away from kind of charity the gospel asks of us. A lot of the way people see Laura's appearance comes from doctored images anyway. She isn't ugly. I love you, Candace. Please, hold a higher ground. She said Christians aren't supposed to lie. Yo. Damn, this person's a walking Bible on this shit. Holy crap. There's scriptures for days. Damn, what the fuck? Second account, I used to follow political commentators that I agree with and those that I'm opposed to. Also, random, I live in California. Well, I'll give them that. It's an American account, I guess, at least. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I guess that's it for tonight. You guys get some rest. Have a good night. Be safe, man. We'll see what this week brings. We'll see what the week brings. Good night. Damn, somebody said reminder. Laura Loomer was prohibited from possessing firearms under federal law, which bars gun ownership from individuals who have been involuntarily committed to a mental institution. I've always heard about that too with her. I don't know what happened though. I guess I'm assuming it was a long time ago, but I don't know what happened. Bye guys. Bloop bloop bloop. Lock your door, I know, right?